time, it was backed all the way back, and every lane had 3 cars at least in the back. It was bad. And everyone's car was the same ridiculous way.
Okay, we'd like to get this meeting started, so I'm Merrick Rosenberg. I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting in Santa Clara City Council to order. I'd like to welcome everybody who's here with us tonight. We do have a full council here tonight. Councilman Ben Shakespeare, Councilwoman Lena Mathis, Councilwoman Krista Hinton, Councilman Denny Drake, and Councilman Jarrett Wade are all here. We'd like to begin the meeting with an opening ceremony and pledge of allegiance. We've asked Councilwoman Hinton if she would lead us in that. Would everyone please rise and salute the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's great.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are grateful to be gathered here today in Santa Clara and grateful for the members of our community and our staff and for the opportunity that we have to work together to make this city great. We are grateful for the blessings thou sends to us. We're grateful for the moisture that we've received and would ask thee to please send additional rain to help us prepare for the summer. Please bless us as we work together to make decisions that will do things that are in the best interest of our community and our citizens. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Krista. Conflicts and Disclosures Council. If you have any conflicts that you need to disclose, you'd ask that you do it now. I do have a conflict. We're doing some of the surveying work for Nick Fry on item C2. Anybody else have anything they need to declare? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started in the working agenda. We don't have any public hearings scheduled tonight. So we'll go to item 4B, the consent agenda. Council, you have on the consent agenda tonight approval of the claims and minutes from the March 23rd, 2022 regular city council meeting and claims through April 13th. Calendar events are listed, regular city council meeting on 27th and then work meeting on May 4th and a regular meeting on May 11th. Probably also include on there that the League of Cities and Towns meetings are next week here in St. George starting on Wednesday. Any questions on the consent agenda, council? If there are none, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed in the agenda that you just read.
Second.
Got a motion by Krista and a second by Ben to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any question on that motion, council? This is a money item. Roll call. Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you, council. Item 4C under general business. 4C1 is consider a $500 donation to Snow Canyon Grad Night. Teresa Fife is the representative. Is she here? Great. Brock?
Yep. All right. So over the past number of years, Snow Canyon High School, the PTA, with Grad Night, has come to Santa Clara and asked for a donation to help support Grad Night for those seniors graduating, put on an event there at the high school, helps for the seniors there to go and spend the last night together. And so we in the past have done a $500 donation, and we were reached out to by Teresa Fife to if we would be willing to do that again this year. And so they're here asking for that $500 donation to help support the graduating seniors for Grad Night.
Great. What's the theme this year, Teresa? Come on up. Just need your name and your address.
I'm here.
Oh yeah, right to the mic.
Okay, so I'm Teresa Fife, and my address, you said 2267 Bryson Circle. The theme is kind of a Hawaiian luau. And I don't know if this is the right time, but I actually would like to know if we can possibly increase that donation. We, in the past, prior to 2020, were allowed to do it at the high school. We are no longer allowed to do it at the high school for district and administrative reasons. So we do have to actually rent a different facility. And so is this the time to ask, can we increase that from 500 to 1,000?
$500 is in the budget. We did budget for that. We do have additional, we do a budget for additional donations that come forward. Off the top of my head, I don't have that with me right here to say what we have left, but I could go grab that, or just pending, if there's room in the budget, it could be approved pending there's room in the budget to allow for additional $500.
Council, questions, comments?
I was just gonna make a joke before you said that this was the only thing that hasn't gone up this year, but now it has. So,
Sorry, Ben.
so, I mean, we things are going up, Mayor, so.
Yeah, things are going up. The cost of the facility is actually $1,000. So in the past, we have not had to pay for the facility because it has been allowed to be held at the high school. But that is an additional expense, so.
He's gonna go check it. Yeah. Where's it gonna be held at?
It's gonna be at the rink, and that's on fire.
Oh, Green Valley.
Yeah. Skating rink and big gymnasium
On top.
area. Mhm.
Cool. Very cool. Questions, council? Anybody got any kids in it this year on the council?
I have a senior.
There's a motion.
It is a good event, but
We do have room inside the donations to account for $500 more.
All righty. Well, if there's no other questions, council, I would look to see if there's a motion. Someone's willing to make a motion for consider $1,000 donation to Snow Canyon Grad Night.
I'll second it if you do.
I make a motion that we increase our donation to Snow Canyon Grad Night from $500 to $1,000.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to consider $1,000 donation to Snow Canyon Grad Night. Any question on that motion? This is a money item. Roll call. Ben?
I,
Lena?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Denny?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Guys have it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You guys do a great job with that. Is it going to be similar as in the past, different location, but same kind of?
We're gonna
format?
try to keep everything as close to the similar as we can. Just, obviously the kids don't repeat, but parents do repeat. And so just so there's kind of that consistency with the parents that pitch in and help. Obviously, we are a little bit more limited because it is at a different facility, but still trying to keep a lot of the traditional things, the warrior quest is kind of the big thing at the end. And that will still be a big part of it, and games and food and music and fun all night long. So
I know a lot of work goes into it, so
it does.
good luck.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, general business item C2, consider a rezone from planned development commercial PDC zone to commercial C zone, 1 acre of property located at 2300 Santa Clara Drive, excuse me. Nick Fry's the applicant. Jim?
Thanks, Mayor. I was waiting. Cody was joking with me because I popped right up and I was ready to go, but we're good. He held me back. So Nick Fry's here this evening. He's the owner of the property. He would like to rezone the property. Let's go ahead and scroll down to his site plan. So we have a conceptual site plan that was laid out, as well as building elevations. So both the Planning Commission, which held their meeting a few weeks ago, and the City Council could kind of get a feel for what's being proposed by the applicant on the property. So the request is the property is currently zoned planned development commercial. The applicant would like to rezone to the commercial zone to allow for a new bakery and manufacturing use on the property, the new building that you can see on the conceptual site plan there. Currently, these uses are being conducted in the back of the existing convenience store. And so we wanted to provide you with some information so you could see the plan. You can see that before you where the proposed building would be located, the parking, the layout of the site. The applicant would move forward with painting the parking spaces on the north end of the site, as well as the southeast end of the site, where there's currently vehicles parked from time to time, but no parking in place. You can see the designated parking plan for in front of the building. Also, a dumpster enclosure is something we've talked about that's not currently on site, as well as making some improvements to some of the landscape areas. So that's something we'll discuss at a later date. But right now, I just wanted to give you a little bit of history of the site. In case you didn't know it, you probably know it better than I do, but a little research here. Nick went through a rezoning process in 1986. The property was zoned R110 at that time. He had it rezoned to neighborhood commercial so he could build Dutchman's. Later on, the city created the PDC zone and removed the neighborhood commercial zone from the zoning codes and city zoning map. That was done through our research. We took a look at that. That happened in 1998 to 1999 when we put the new zone on the books and removed the neighborhood commercial zone. So the applicant prefers to develop the site under the C zone because it's closer to the original neighborhood commercial zone placed on the property back in '86. We do have some properties in the immediate vicinity that are also zone commercial, directly across the street or across Santa Clara Drive. We have Jim's RV and the consignment furniture store that are zone commercial. And then we have a piece of property with a sign on it right now. I believe it's just under half an acre, 0.40. That's for sale. That's in a commercial zone. And then the office plaza or office building directly east across Canyon View Drive is zone commercial as well. The zoning that he's looking for would allow for the bakery and manufacturing use as a permitted use according to the commercial zone. Right now, the PDC zone doesn't allow for the use. And the applicant's also proposing an office space at the end of the building, the very end cap there next to Santa Clara Drive. That would be an office use. Just wanted the council to know that city staff did discuss this option at length with city legal counsel. And it was decided that rezoning was the best path forward for the project in this particular case or set of circumstances. As far as a neighborhood response, we sent notices to all properties within 300 feet of any point of this property, and we posted the property to meet state code requirements with signage. We didn't receive any public comment, nor did the Planning Commission receive or take any public comment on March 24th, 2022 during the public hearing. As far as general plan considerations, the Santa Clara City General Plan indicates a Main Street commercial land use for the property. Both the PDC zone and the commercial zone would comply with the intent of the general plan. The description and character objectives for this land use states the following. Main Street commercial strives for continuous building frontage with ground floor being mostly storefront windows. This makes it pedestrian friendly as well as accessible by automobile with both on-street and rear parking with predominantly commercial uses on the ground level, including uses such as stores, restaurants, and offices with residents and or offices on the second floor. So the proposed application doesn't include a mixed-use development. However, it does include a commercial use on the ground level as indicated in the general plan. And the proposed building will also include office space, which is encouraged by the general plan. If you could go to the building elevation, I believe it's right after this. They're conceptual in nature. You can see the drawings here. You see the existing Dutchman's with the red roof, and you see this building. It would be stucco and I believe a CMU split face gray block with some metal awnings. You can see to the left, maybe to your right or to my left, that end cap would be for an office space and the rest would be for his warehouse and manufacturing business associated with his brand and what he's currently doing in the existing building. So as far as state code consideration, we do meet all those requirements. We noticed it. We put signs on the property, put it on websites and posted it in public locations. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on March 24th, 2022 and forwarded a recommendation of approval to the City Council. At this time, planning staff recommends that the city, Santa Clara City Council approve the Nick Fry rezone from the planned commercial zone to the commercial zone for the property located at 2300 Santa Clara Drive, subject to the following conditions, and we have two. First, that the applicant be required to submit a site plan application as per city code, chapter 1766, commercial zone. Second, that the applicant be required to go to the planning commission and city council for site plan review and approval. So if this rezoning is approved, the applicant will come back to both the planning commission and the council as per the zoning ordinance, and go through that process. And then subject to the following findings, that the rezoning is compliant with the Santa Clara City General Plan, section 3-4-2 mixed land use, uses, Main Street commercial. And second, that other properties in the immediate vicinity, east and southwest of the site, are zoned commercial. With that, that's the end of my comments for the moment. And the applicant, Nick Fry, is in attendance if the council has questions for Nick or myself. Thank you.
Or Jim leaves, any questions for Jim, council?
I only have one. I don't think in our commercial zone that it has to come back to council.
Okay,
If you'll double check, I think it only has to go to planning commission.
I'll double check that. I was just being thorough. But I'll
Not that we,
double check.
not that
on
we couldn't review
So,
it, but if
yeah,
it's a timing issue and it
Right.
might delay him, then there's no reason to have it come
Right.
back if it's not
Right.
required.
I'll take a closer look. We've spent so much time in the PDC. I'll spend a
Yeah.
little time in the C. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Other questions, council?
Maybe just piggybacking off that. Because of a project similar in this, it was a commercial zone where there was surprise on the exterior finishes. Again, this, it says it's going to be stucco. I'm sure we ended up with a metal building where I think there was a lot that were surprised. We're under the PDC, we wouldn't have that.
Right.
What protects us from that? Not that, again, we're not doing a metal building here.
Well, we're
Looking
gonna
at the
be-
rendering.
We're going to be pretty clear and upfront with the planning commission when
Okay.
we go forward, and he's not proposing that. He's told me stucco and the CMU and some metal and the windows as you see. If that's a problem, I'll bring it up during the planning commission process and say it's not something that we're recommending approval on because of those materials. So I think we're protected by the ordinance because it does require planning commission approval, and we'll go through the materials and the landscape plan stuff as well. So I think that's where we're protected, Councilman Shakespeare.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. So,
Yeah, we'll be specific in the conditions.
Yeah, I think that's the
So,
only concern.
yeah.
It's just that there's no
Yeah,
surprise. Again, I think it's fantastic. But
I think Nick wants something nice and he's here this evening and looking to improve the site. So
Any other questions for the staff? Any questions for the applicant?
just how many cookies are you making these days per day?
A lot.
I was gonna say, I heard of all these businesses that are buying them. I'm like, geez,
A lot.
that's great.
Okay, council, if there's no other questions, then I would look for a motion.
I move that we approve the zone change from PDC to commercial to accommodate the new building.
I'll second.
A motion by Denny and a second by Jarrett to approve the rezone from PDC to commercial C zone on 1 acre of property at 2300 Santa Clara Drive. Any question on that motion, council?
Probably just include the recommendations. I mean, maybe it's part of it, but there were 2 recommendations. Is that right, Jim?
yeah, we had 2 conditions plus 2 findings.
Okay.
Make sure we're legal and compliant with our general plan.
But double check the one condition.
Yes. I will check on that this evening or tomorrow morning and get with Chris.
And we'll make that part of the motion.
And I'll second.
Or the second? Any other questions, council? This is a zone change. Let's do roll call vote. Jarrett,
Aye.
Denny,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Lena,
Hi.
Ben,
Aye.
guys have it. Get her done, Nick. You're our first manufacturing facility. Make us proud. The Dutchman, you know, some cities have caterpillar plants. We got Dutchman cookies.
You know, I have to just say, my wife and I stopped a few weeks ago on a Saturday, kind of a big mistake on a Saturday afternoon with all the tournaments and all the folks in town for many things. There was a line. And we got 6 and we gave 3 to my folks and split ate the other 3, of course. But there were people getting boxes and then one gal from Arizona that said she used to live here and wished they would ship them to her community. So you might want to check on that. So it's a busy operation there. So, yeah.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, next item is item C3. This is consider approval of a final plat for the Point at Snow Canyon Senior Living Community, generally located on the north side of Pioneer Parkway and just west of Entrada Development. Clint Tolman is the applicant. Jim?
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks for introducing it. It's a big project. It's something we've talked about a few times previously. I know we have a lot of residents and others showing interest in this area and for this senior living community, because it's nice to have a place for our elderly population to retire in the community. You know, you hear a lot, we can live in that community, we had friends in that community, but where do we go when we get older in age? Now, we know we have a cemetery, and I'm not trying to be grave, that was a pun. But anyways, you know, it's nice to have this type of community. You hear about it quite a bit. Where can we go when we need a little help and we become empty nesters? And so I think there's some excitement associated with this project. If you'll go to the final plat down below, and we've been working with them on this. Thank you. It's 2 pages because it's a pretty big project. You know, there's a lot going on. There's a total of 46 lots. 44 will be for single family homes. 1 lot will include 15 units of independent townhome living. And then lot 46 is the big project. It's the assisted living facility, which will house 104 units. A total of 163 units are proposed on the property, which is just under 24 acres. The density is just around 7 units per acre. Previously, when this was reviewed, when it went through a project plan amendment and preliminary plat, we did take a look at building materials, amenities, site landscaping, and that did go through a planning commission and city council process. At this time, I'd like to go through kind of a few highlights or a few items we need to discuss here at final. The plat is up and it's a final plat. Our next item is preliminary, so I will try to keep my focus on this one. When this went to Planning Commission on March 24th, we had a discussion on public streets. Logan Blake's on our Planning Commission now. He's a PE, and he did ask that question about the streets, that they be identified as public streets. So all the streets in this project are public. So next to the street name, it will say public street on the final plat, just to make sure we're clear. And I've seen that. I've seen that in other places I've worked, you know, just making sure that a public street is identified. So that's something I included in the conditions if the council's comfortable with that. As far as the building design and materials, I think if we scroll down, and I do have quite a few exhibits in these two, but we get a feeling here for the single family homes, quite nice. The look fits in with Entrada in the adjacent neighborhood. Materials include stucco, natural stone, a roofing membrane system, and decorative metal to provide the visual interest. And so we believe these single family home designs are quite nice. If we scroll down further, there's the twin homes that we talked about, 15 of those, and those are quite nice, or, you know, the multifamily twin home style. Further down, we have an assisted living rendering. I think it's just a couple more down. There it is. It's nice, very similar materials. It's got a portico share, which is nice, which is the architectural feature you see there with the individual. That'll be really good for inclement weather, like the big old windstorm we had the other night that messed everybody's cars up if you had one outside. But that'll be nice for loading and unloading. The project has been designed to be compliant with the PDR zone as far as height. The height standard is 35 feet. That's the maximum height. They know that. So this building will not exceed that height requirement. Kind of going back and forth. I just don't want to make Brock go up and down too many times on these drawings. The project landscaping and open space, they've done a good job with that. There is a plan. You can see that a little bit there. I think if we scroll up, I think they might do something better, maybe not. Actually, I think it's located down below. Just to point out to the council, there we go. This one is black and white, but it kind of lets you know everything. It packs a punch. So the proposed amenities include a pool house, an outdoor pool and hot tub, outdoor fire pits, pickleball courts, bocce ball, bocce court, putting greens, seating and lounging areas. Inside the building, there's a golf simulator and indoor room with bar and business lounge that can be reserved. Additionally, on the plat, and we'll go back, we don't need to do that yet. We'll go back to that in a minute. We do have the open space area identified as parcel B. That's to remain more in a natural state with some trails and some seating areas, more of a natural look rather than improved look. Again, these amenity areas will be available for all residents and guests of the senior living community. That's what's required. The landscaping, they've spent quite a bit of time on the landscaping plans. I think if you scroll down, Brock, I think they're there.
That's the last.
Okay, and we're good. We've spent a lot of time reviewing them as well. They're going to be required to meet ordinance 2205, which is our new water efficient landscaping and conservation standards. The zone does require a minimum of 30% open space. The applicant and designers have indicated the plan includes approximately 40% open space. If we go back to the preliminary plat, there's a couple things I'd like to bring up. Thank you. So as far as project fencing adjacent to Pioneer Parkway, there will be a 6-foot stucco wall that will be required to be put in, and the applicant's aware of that. Also adjacent to Pioneer Parkway, there'll be a planter strip and a sidewalk. So the applicant's required to install a 10-foot planter strip and a 5-foot sidewalk along Pioneer Parkway as it is an arterial roadway. So that will be a nice feature for residents here and our other city residents that live in the community. Recently, we've talked about water availability, and I have to bring it up because we adopted the ordinance, the model ordinance, and we made some changes to it. And that's section 1792 of our code now. It's been adopted and put in ordinance. Within that, we talk about a will serve letter or other verified documentation from the Washington County Water Conservancy District prior to final plat recordation. So there's been kind of a little bit of back and forth, but that's the wording the way I understand it, and we'll need something from the Water Conservancy District. We talk about dust control, it's major. I mean, this is a big project. We've had a little bit of that already with utility and road work done out there, or the temporary road for the sewer line. So we need to make sure, and the applicant's aware of that. I just wanted to bring that up. Reviewing departments, we've had a pretty thorough review. As you can see in the report, the building department, a geotech's going to be required. Parks and trails. This is something that Brad has helped us understand, and I'm glad we have it here and the applicant's willing to do it. They will provide a trail gate in the western wall or the west part of the site where there's a wall, and it's a minimum of 6 feet wide to get to the trail in the area. Fire and police, their fire's concern was making sure we had access for emergency vehicle or apparatus within 150 feet of the assisted living facility. Power department, public utilities required, public works, again, PUEs and signature blocks on a final plat. State code considerations as far as noticing and having public meetings. We've met all the statute requirements. So our recommendation is as follows. The Planning Commission held a public meeting on March 24, 2022 and forwarded a recommendation of approval to the City Council. At this time, planning staff recommends that the City Council approve the final subdivision plat for the Point at Snow Canyon Senior Living Community, subject to the following conditions. And we've outlined 12 conditions in the report. And then condition number 2, there was a sentence added that said all public streets be labeled as public streets on the recorded plat. So kind of what Commissioner Blake recommended. And let me know if you're okay with that. The applicant, Clint Tolman, and his engineer are both here if you have any questions of them. Do you have any questions for me at this point?
Questions for Jim, council? All right now.
Okay, thanks.
Council, any questions for the applicant? Fairly straightforward. Any discussion?
I was curious if the stucco wall will match the kind of up and down of the other walls in that area, or is it going to be something unique? Not that it's a huge deal, but I'm just curious.
Good evening. I'm Jim Peterson. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, and thanks, Jim, for presenting. So, yeah, I'm the developer for the site, and yeah, we plan on matching the wall that's directly to the east. Yes, so it wanders in and out, and the top waves up and down, so it'll match in color and style to that wall.
Okay, perfect.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Peterson while he's up there, council? Plans look good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, other discussion? No other discussion. I'd look for a motion.
I can make that motion. I move that we approve the final plat for the Point at Snow Canyon Senior Living Community as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Jarrett, second by Krista to approve the final plat for the Point at Snow Canyon Senior Living Community as presented. Were there conditions with this one, Jim?
Yes.
Yeah, there were. So I guess
we do have a total of 12 conditions
Those are
as part of
included
the
in your
approval.
motion.
And we'll include those conditions given to us by the Planning Commission.
In your
And
second?
those are included in my second.
Great. Okay, any question on that motion? Okay, roll call vote. Jarrett,
Aye.
Danny,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Lena,
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
It's approved 5-0. Thank you, council. Thanks, guys. And thanks for working with us on keeping Pioneer Parkway open. You would have appreciated not if you hadn't closed that road. Thanks, guys. Okay. Item C4, consider approval of a preliminary plat for Quail Crossing and Coyote Landing at Desert's Edge, generally located east of 400 East and north of Northtown Road. Robert Smith applicant. Jim?
Thanks, Mayor. So we've got this one back to you tonight. It's an exciting project that we've talked about a few times. Most recently, we had a discussion in March about the phasing or the project plan. The applicant, Robert Smith, came to the council during a work meeting to discuss a slight density or increase to the plan of one additional unit. That item was taken to the Planning Commission on March 24th and approved by them before we discussed the preliminary plat that evening on that agenda. So they did allow for the density increase of one additional unit to 240 units. The property is just over 20 acres in size, so the proposed density is at 11.99 dwelling units per acre. And so the preliminary plat is up, and that's where I want to work from for now. So thank you for bringing that up. And so there's a lot here in the preliminary plat. It packs a big punch. There's a lot going on here. It's both projects. You know, it includes Coyote Landing and Quail Crossing at Desert's Edge. One is a multifamily townhome product, and the other is an apartment project that's been designed to be affordable, with rents ranging from 30 to 80% of AMI. The applicant has captured Utah Housing Assistance and will be utilizing that program. I believe the great majority will be at 50% of AMI, but we'll let the applicant clarify that if the council would like to have that discussion with him. What I'd like to do now is go to the next sheet, the phasing plan, for a few minutes. So this is the project phasing plan, and there's quite a bit going on with the phasing plan. They're looking to do 6 different phases. And so each phasing plan is included here. So phase 1, you can see in the red color, salmon color, it includes 24 townhome units, centrally located amenities, the boat and RV parking, and public roadway improvements, including 2 required public accesses to 400 East. So there's quite a bit. You can also see some improvement on Northtown Road and a detention area up in the northeast area as well. So there's a bit of improvement that will be going there. Phase 2 will include 60 apartments within 2 buildings. And so you can see that kind of in the tan. Some project amenities, the required parking and primary access to and from the project from Northtown Road. Phase 3 in the green is a bigger phase. It includes 44 townhomes, centrally located open space, a detention basin, private alleys, and some public road improvements as well, as you can see there on the main roadway. Phase 4, which is in purple, includes 32 townhome units, a private alley, and required parking spaces. Phase 5 includes 20 townhome units, that is in the blue color, 2 private alleys and required parking spaces. Phase 6 is in the blue-purple color, includes 60 apartments within 2 buildings, a detention basin, required parking, and extension of a private driveway system in the project. So now if we can go back to the preliminary plat just before, and so this is the overall, as you know, they'll come back in phases, 6 phases for final plats that would come back to you at a later date. So here, the public street improvements are required to meet city standards and be installed or bonded for prior to plat recordation. Again, the total of 6 phases, each of them are required or will include public improvements. And each plat will be recorded. And as plats are recorded, that right of way or that roadway will be dedicated to the city. So the building setbacks here, it's unique. And I've discussed that a little bit in the report. Coyote Landing includes both front-loaded and rear-loaded townhome style units. And so it really is a specific plan for the project, and we're looking to have the setbacks work for the project and address this issue now rather than later. And so what we're proposing is the front-loaded townhomes that front on a public street, which is most of these. Maybe you go back to the phasing plan, Brock, it might show it a little bit better. So phase 1, for instance, you can see phase 1 includes front-loaded units. And so those front-loaded units that back onto Hamlin, you would have a 20-foot front setback with those front-loaded units. And then the rear setback would be 10 feet. And then we're talking about 12 feet between buildings because they don't have anything closer than either 12 feet or 14 feet. Generally, the building code's a minimum of 10 feet in between, but we've got more here. So let's make sure there's ample space in between. If we go to phase 3, it's a little bit different. We have a couple buildings and you can see there on the right-hand side of the cursor facing the public street. Yeah, those buildings right there, they front onto the green space, and then they back onto the public street. So we're requiring a deeper driveway there, a 20-foot driveway, just like a front load. And then they can have a front setback of 10 feet from the sidewalks because they front on a green or an open space area. So that's kind of the give and take on these. And then you can see with some of the others in phase 4, you can see they're more of a walk-up style unit off of a rear loaded alley with a 5-foot lip. And so that's the area between the alley and the face of the garage, so they can pull in and out of their garage. And then there's more parking back there. So there's some different types and unique style. We're trying to address them all. We've also looked at the setback of the main clubhouse building, and it complies with the code. We do have a 20-foot front setback there that meets code, and then it's adjacent to a private parking lot. So if we go back to the preliminary plat, we can talk about amenities for a moment here. You can see in the middle there, the centrally located amenities. So it's going to include a clubhouse, a splash pad or water toy feature with water slide, a spa, pickleball courts, and tennis courts. Playground equipment and a community garden is also proposed for the project, and that's over by the apartment units in phase 2. You can see the community garden and some more playground equipment over there. Right now, I believe the applicant is still kind of researching what the final is going to be, the final amenity package, and we're asking that be determined before the final subdivision plat approval. So when we come back to you with the phase, we want to be able to talk about that. What is the water toy feature? What's going on there? Get some specifics on that. As far as the landscaping, we do have some landscape plans at a preliminary stage. The final plans will be required to comply with our new ordinance for water efficient landscaping and conservation. Right now, the code does require a minimum open space of 30%. Again, the applicant in this case has indicated that the open space, if you look at all the grounds, is approximately 41% for this project. The project fencing, and I can address that with this preliminary plat. We have two types of fencing. So backing onto Hamlin Parkway will be a 6-foot privacy wall, and that's required along Hamlin. The applicant intends to utilize a CMU block as per other projects in the vicinity. I think you see that in Arcadia. You also see some pillars now over where the RV park and boat parking are for Arcadia. It's a CMU block. And then we have some open style fencing, a open style iron fence with evenly spaced pillars. Those are going to be adjacent to the apartment buildings that front onto Northtown Road, as well as 400 East. They wrap the corner there. So you can see phase 2. So it's phase 2 and phase 6 where you're going to have that parking, not the parking, the fencing. It allows for some privacy, but it's also open. There'll be open areas adjacent to where those walkways are that provide access into and out of the buildings. So semi-private style of fence will be put in those two areas. And it's going to wrap the corner, and then it will also go up Street C adjacent to the other buildings on phase 6. So it will continue up around the perimeter of the project itself. As far as project parking, we truly believe we have ample parking on this site. We've gone back and forth with the applicant on this. We have a total of 702 parking spaces. This includes 152 spaces for the front-loaded townhomes, 270 spaces for the rear-loaded townhomes, 35 spaces for the clubhouse area, and 245 spaces for the apartments, with 120 being covered as required by code. City code requires, based on our analysis for these uses and the sizes, minimum of 616 spaces. The additional 86 spaces are intended for short-term rental use as previously approved for the project. So that, as you recall, the townhome units are allowed for short-term rental. That was approved previously. And then the boat and RV parking has been provided as per the short-term rental requirements. As far as emergency vehicle access, there is a change with the project. So as you can see, we have a public road system providing access off of 400 East to the townhome project itself. We have a private driveway system providing access off of Northtown Road to the apartment project itself. We worked with the applicant and went back and forth on this and decided it would be best that the apartment project be accessed via a private street system, allowing them to have their carports that back onto the roadway and the things that we don't necessarily allow on a public street. We don't want carports backing onto a public street or 90-degree parking backing onto a public street. It can create a bit of conflict in those turning movements and we could have some potential accidents. So what we have there is we have an emergency vehicle access that you can see there. It's kind of highlighted between the apartment project. It's in dark. I don't know if we can blow it up a little bit more, Brock, but it will include a pavement and emergency access with bollards as needed. So if emergency or fire vehicle apparatus needed to get in and out of there, they could connect between the two projects. But we feel this is a win-win between the two uses. The neighborhood is connected via pedestrian, sidewalks. You can walk through, you can bike through. You just cannot have motorized vehicles between those two streets. Water availability, I talked about that previously. We're going to need something from the Water Conservancy District, whether it be a will served or other verified type of documentation. They may also decide to sign the plat itself. That's another option that we've heard. We talked about dust control, because this is a big site in an urbanized area. We've got development all the way around it for our residents as well as residents in Ivins. And then we're also asking the applicant, and he's here this evening, and his engineer, I believe, is on the line, to consider running secondary water to the project. So that's something we've asked them to address and determine if possible between now and final plat. Reviewing departments, we've gone through it as a city staff. You can see in the report some of the things that have been asked for required. We've met all state code statute for noticing requirements. So the city staff recommendation is as follows. The Planning Commission held a public meeting on March 24th, 2022, and forwarded a recommendation of approval to the city council. At this time, planning staff recommends the city council approve the preliminary plat for the Desert Edge subdivision, subject to the conditions as outlined in the staff report, and we have a total of 12. There are some similarities between this one and the last project, but there's a lot of things that are similar between the two projects. We've tried to get specific in detail as needed so they can come back with final and understand what they need to do to get to the next stage of the project. So that's what I have for now. The applicant is here and I believe his engineer is on the Zoom call if the council has questions. And this is a preliminary plat, so we'll come back at a later date for final plats. Thank you.
Jim, did you have any comments at the planning commission meeting?
We did not on this one. We didn't have any comments. We expected that, but we didn't get any comments. We did previously at the zoning. If you'll recall last fall when we were doing the rezoning and the project plan, we had some Ivans residents show up, but we didn't for the preliminary plat.
Good, thank you.
Thanks.
Council, any questions for Jim before he sits down?
Jim, one of the
Yeah.
questions we had was he was applying for state
Yes,
low-cost housing and that was a reason for the 12 units per acre.
correct.
And I'm assuming that approval has been applied for. I don't know before final plat, I would expect that it would be in place. Is that correct?
He got the approval. He got a copy of the letter.
Super.
We do, and I think that's something we're definitely going to require. Phase 1 is for townhomes, but phase 2 is for 60 units of apartments. So we will need further information and verification at that time. That's correct.
And then the detention basin is done in phase 1, correct?
Yes, we do have one detention basin done in phase 1, and I believe the other one is phase 4, the green area, if we go back to the
Three.
phasing
Phase
plan.
three.
Phase 3,
Phase 3.
phase 3, correct. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
I have one for Jim. On the access to the apartments from North Town Road, it's listed there just that access as street F, which would say that that's a public street as the others are listed. Thought we had adjusted that to be a private access going in. I don't know that.
That's my understanding.
I just wanted that it would be a private street and us
Right.
not maintaining that, whatever, 20
Right.
or 30 feet of access into that parking lot.
And I think that's something we can ask the engineer to make sure we verify, but the intent is that is a private street or private driveway system in the apartment project.
It's just listed as one of the public streets as street F.
That's a good catch. Thank you. And I meant to go through and forgot, and I don't want to prolong this, but we believe the project architecture is pretty good. The design for the two projects and the variety of materials. And so we think the Think Architecture has done a good job on the design. It should be well received. We would like to see some other projects use that type of thinking as well.
It meets what was presented for the zone.
It does. It does. Yep.
Any other questions?
Maybe for chief, just that fire, the access, the emergency access, you're stating that would be a bollard. Again, keeping traffic through, but if an emergency vehicle did need to get through there,
Right.
are there certain fire requirements that what that needs to be, or I'm not
Well,
sure.
what we're doing is we're identifying it and requiring it. And then
Okay,
at
but
final plat, we're going to drill down on the specifics. It may end
Okay.
up being a turf block or something like that. Can grow vegetation over it with the bollards, but there's going to have to be 20 feet there to meet fire code. Or if the fire department determines more, we can put that there too, but we'll have to see what that requirement is.
okay,
So,
and that that
Yeah.
can come at a.
yeah,
I'm sure there's something that allows for that, but it's specifics on what it needs to be. So
right. And it's the type, I believe, and we can let the chief speak. I'm answering, but they would have a key or access to lower those bollards as needed, like you see on some of the trails, the newer trail networks, or, we certainly don't want a crash gate. We want something that's more user friendly and pedestrians and cyclists can get through there and kids can go see their friends and neighbors. Connecting neighborhoods is good planning. So we're doing our best here.
Yeah, so the bollards are the most secure. They take time to remove. You got to get a key and then lift those. but they obviously prevent vehicles is the main thing. Pedestrians and cyclists can go through, but they're the most secure, but they most timely for us to remove. But in the TRC meetings, we'll review that and make sure we get what's efficient for us and also meets the intent. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Any other questions, council?
Just remind me the short-term rental aspect. What was the number that was approved without going back through the?
Up to 120 units for the townhomes.
For the
So
town?
the townhome component, which is half the density of the project, can have short-term rental, all the units. Now, we can let Robert speak to that. I don't know whether or not that's the intent that every unit will be used for short-term rental, but that's how we approved it.
Okay.
Back last fall for that component, not the apartments, just the townhomes.
Perfect.
Any other questions, council? We've heard a lot from Robert, but he made the trip. Anything you want to add, Robert?
Oh,
I actually have a question for him,
For
for
Jim?
Robert.
For Robert, go.
good, good.
So I looked up your approval with the Utah Housing Corporation.
Okay.
And it looks like half of your units you're going to approve under the affordability from 25 to 50%. So my question is, are you intending to do those in that phase 2 in those 2 buildings, or are you intending to hold them off to phase 6?
So the approvals we've got right now is for phase 2, everything's
Phase
phase 2. So the 60 apartments,
Mhm.
The AMI between 25 and 50% is
Yep.
just for phase 2. Yeah.
Perfect.
I assume that our phase 6 will do a similar application with similar 25 to 50% AMI
Perfect.
application.
Those numbers are really good. That's a
Yeah.
great question because AMI is up to 80%. So this is quite a bit lower.
Yeah, his average was 40. I mean,
Yeah.
he should really be commended, council, if you don't know. The average for his project was 43%. And that will put rents for those units somewhere between $695 and about $950, $960, something like that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. So thank you.
So Robert, on that question, just to have clicked in my head. So your Utah housing on tax credits for the housing authority, you're only approved for that phase 2 and you have to go back and get approved again another time for phase
Yeah.
6.
Exactly.
So I guess we'll approach that then if something is not approved for the phase 6. Right. Okay.
Yeah. I hope it is. I can't guarantee it. I can't make the decision myself, but yeah.
I guess if it doesn't get approved, it becomes a Maverick on that corner. Just saying.
I guess I wonder is that if we go down this road with the approval, that condition is in there, that if he does not get approval for phase 6, that he's not approved to build those apartments without that housing, those tax credits, so that we'd have to come back and amend for something different that would still meet the zoning that's there.
So my question was on the timing of construction. You phased it out. What do you estimate based on everything in there? It's a big project.
Yeah, so phases 1 and 2 to start essentially the same time. And it all depends on the market. I'd hope that generally I usually try to plan for like 1 phase a year. That's how I've done things in the past, but if things go faster and they sell faster, we would do it faster. We'd build faster.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, I just want to add, I really like the separation you created between the two. I think that really meets what we were hoping for. And I'll just tell you, this project comes up a lot in conversations I've had in the community, and it's all been really positive
Oh,
feedback.
good. I think it fills a great need. I mean, not just for the apartments, but for the townhomes as well. I see, there's a question of whether or not how many of those will be nightly rentals, and I don't know, but I think there'll be a good amount that will be primary residents that will be living there that choose to make that their subdivision.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Robert.
thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Is Ben on the phone? Ben, we just want to say thanks.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad I could have my input.
I think, Ben, you probably heard that note about adding street F to the private.
Yeah, I sent a message back at the just been a typo on our spot since that went back and forth. We just need to pull that off and it'll be a private street. But yeah, we're aware. So thank you.
On our end, can we designate them, since we're going to start putting public street, private, can we designate them private drives, not
think-
private streets?
Yes.
Since we don't allow private streets.
Right. Yes, we
Okay.
can
I
put
just
that on
want the
there.
terminology.
Private
the right
driveway
way.
or private drive, yes.
Okay, council, any other discussion? There's no other discussion or questions, and I would look for a motion.
I can make the motion that we approve the preliminary plat for Quail Crossing and Coyote Landing at Desert Edge as presented with the 12 conditions that come from the planning commission.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Lena and a second by Krista to approve the preliminary plat for Quail Crossing and Coyote Landing at Desert's Edge with the conditions that were presented. Any question on that motion?
I think we had a question on the motion. Did we want to add a condition about phase 6? You know, that it needs to get the tax credit and come back. If not, you know, they're going to have to amend the plan.
I'm agreeable to adding that.
Okay.
Second,
As well as the second.
okay, with that condition added. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, let's do roll call vote. Ben,
Aye.
Lena,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Benny,
Aye.
Jarrett.
Aye.
Guys have it. Good work, Robert. We'll see you soon. Okay, item C5, consider approving the spring maintenance bid for chip seal slurry seal project. Mr.
Evening, Mayor and
Morrison.
Council. I have to apologize for the application I sent in online. It was tough getting bids and things have changed since then. And even as I sat down for this meeting, I got another bid on email through my phone. So that changes the handout I even gave you. Try to walk you through it the best I can. So we advertised for our spring maintenance program for a chip seal with fog coat and a slurry seal. The slurry seal was pretty simple. We got 3 competitive bids. American Pavement Preservation for 17.4 cents a square foot. Western Rock was the only bid up until just now for chip seal. They came in at 50 cents a square foot, which is double the engineer's estimate, which is, it's pretty common now. Oil's at an all-time high. Then right as I sat down, I got another one from Interstate Rock and it came in at 63 cents per square foot. And so that's, you know, might make this decision easier. So on option 1, we do the slurry seal through American Pavement, 625,000 square feet at 17 cents for $108,795. And we rebid chip, but I don't know after that second bid coming in if that's the best option at this point. Option 2, we originally had Santa Clara Drive from border to border, Gates Lane, Country Lane, Clary Hills, and lower portion of Canyon View on the list to be chip sealed. We removed those streets except for Santa Clara Drive, the downtown portion, the 5-lane portion, and then we slurry from Swiss Village to the Ivans border for and move on with the slurry for 108,000. That would put us at the grand total of 401 to do just Santa Clara Drive and the slurry seal. Option 3, we chip and fog everything. We go on with the slurry for a grand total of 645,000. I visited with Brock a little bit, and there is some funds that have been carried over from year to year as we did no street maintenance in 2020. One thing I want you to keep in mind, we have spent $36,000 in crack seal. The city crew's been out for several months. They've got every road crack sealed. You know, if we do wait more than about 9-10 months, they would have to be redone and closed up again before we put any kind of pavement maintenance on there. All the roads that are up for chip seal are very high traffic major roads. You know, Santa Clara Drive, it's one of our greatest assets. Along with Country Lane is just greatly deteriorated. I don't know if you've driven down there and seen the cracks in there, but there's spots that, you know, the asphalt's 6 inches round in between the sections of crack
Looks a
seal.
little like Vineyard
Mhm.
after you crack sealed it.
Yeah, that's why it's ready for a chip seal. We've slurried it, we've slurried it, we've slurried it. That only gets you so much time. We've never chip sealed the downtown portion of Santa Clara Drive. I know the west end is new. We have slurried it, but that's the best time to get a chip seal on there. You're buying yourself many, many, many years. So, you know, these are the decisions that I'm asking for your help with, what direction you'd like to go.
Is the 645,000 the bid at the 50 cents a square foot?
Mhm. Correct. With including the 108 for slurry also. So the map that I gave you is what would cover everything for the slurry and the chip seal.
On the map?
You're gonna get everything done on the map. The map on your screen would show what you're gonna get if we just do the 401,000. You're just gonna get the chip seal through downtown, the 5 lanes, and then the slurry at the west end, and then the slurry on the valley roads.
Well, I think, in my opinion, if we've got it in the budget, we ought to do the whole thing. It's not going to get cheaper. It's only going to get more expensive, and it's only going to cut into our budget in the future if we delay doing it now.
That's my thought also. Brock's okay with that on the financial end.
What was in the budget?
300,000 is what was in the budget. But as Dustin said, each year we track through what is spent, and as 2020, we didn't do any street maintenance. So there are funds that have carried over. So there is between B and C, highway, and that there are, and with the local option also that we are getting now, there is enough funds in there to cover that additional $345,000. So we'll have to make a budget amendment with that in June.
I tend to agree with Denny. The longer you put off the maintenance, the more expensive it is to do it. And the roadway is just going to deteriorate. So
I agree.
I think it'd be wise to spend the additional money.
Yeah, that's what Dustin and I felt that coming back to replace, tear up a road and do it, that cost would be
10 times.
Yeah, so we felt taking that money that we have and amending the budget is well worth it.
One thing I want to make you aware of is downtown where we've got the planters, we would just chip seal the travel lanes up to the planters because it's so costly to try to get that seal machine between the planters. Then when they come back to fog, they would fog in between the planters and the whole road.
And that's
A
where-
fog
that's-
seal is something we do after we sweep the chips up, and they come in and they spray it with a light coat of
That's
of,
where your
fog seal.
traffic is anyway, is out on the.
Correct.
20.
Yeah.
Questions, council? Everybody okay with that? I'll look for a motion.
I move that we approve the plan for the chip seal and the slurry to option 3. Is that the one, the full bore?
Correct.
And move ahead with it.
Got a motion to have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Denny and a second by Ben to approve auction 3 of the spring pavement maintenance project, totaling 645,000. And proceed. Any question on that motion?
No. Let me add in that if we can, in that motion, adding that we're awarding the bid on the slurry, who it's being awarded to, and the chip seal, who it's being awarded to.
That's fine. We
So,
awarding it to American Paving, is that
Right.
American Paving Preservation
Then Western Rock.
Western
and
Rock.
Western Rock?
You're okay with second?
I'm good with that.
Okay. All righty, let's do roll call. Jarrett,
Aye.
Denny,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Lena,
Aye.
Ben.
Aye.
There you go, Dustin.
Thank you.
Mayor and council reports, item 5. Ben?
Well, while you guys were away playing, I had a lot of stuff going on here at the city. So
This can be a long report.
staff and I went to Lammy's 3 times while you were gone. So Mayor, just one item, and we could all share it. The power tour that we went on was fantastic. Does kind of open your eyes to what we have and the needs we've got, but it was really fun to be a part of that. Appreciate your time, and we've got a great asset in that power grid. That's all I have.
And the employees.
Yeah,
And-
of course. Yeah. Well, I told them that while we were at lunch 3 times. While you guys were.
They were with us. So
Oh,
it was with
okay.
you.
I didn't know who all went. I'm just winging it. So- We do have great staff. Thanks, Lena.
Lena?
Want me to go? The only update I have is the fair. So just to be aware, the booth is partially up. Our booth is partially up. I'll finish it next week when I take over the live plans, but the fair starts this weekend. Friday is the carnival rodeo and Saturday is the special needs rodeo. So if you're interested in going, go over for the rodeo. The parade and kickoff party is in Washington this year. That's on Tuesday evening, starts at 6 o'clock. And I think the parade is at the Washington Community Center, just in case you want to go. And then the official opening is Wednesday. It will run Wednesday through Saturday. And they are having the rodeo, the demolition derby, boxing, sheep shearing, carnival rides, all the normal stuff. So go over. The city booths are in the Grafton building. So if you want to stop by and see all the city booths, they'll be in the Grafton building.
Cool.
And that's all I've got.
Very good. Thank you for that. Krista?
I don't have anything.
Danny?
We had our solid waste district meeting yesterday Monday, and in the discussion, I hope everyone is aware that if you take an uncovered load to the landfill, you will be fined. That is being enforced and they're enforcing it as we speak. So I encourage everyone to cover their loads. We also reviewed some plans as the cell is getting closer to being filled. The costs affiliated with closure of one and construction of another, and that it could be in the near future that we will be having to do special assessments.
Everything
That's all
else
I
is
have.
going up.
Yeah.
Garrett?
All right, so there was a UIA meeting on Monday and I sent out a text, but the bonds did sell last Friday finally for the installation of fiber in Santa Clara. And just a little context on that, they put them out to sell and nobody bid. And so the team actually went to previous buyers of bonds from UIA and kind of just asked them to throw them a bone, and they bid. And so we got kind of lucky that they sold when they did. And then Roger did share in his report that kind of the sweetheart deal that we got in Santa Clara won't exist anymore. Either cities will have to subsidize projects, they'll get grants, or there'll be higher take rate requirements, longer bonds. It won't be anywhere near what we got for our project. So we should be commended for going when we did.
Do you know what our bond rate was?
Yeah, 4.3. So that's the highest. It's never been above 4 for any other projects like this.
And we authorized to how high? 4.0 something, 4.08?
I don't recall on the bond parameters.
Okay.
Cedar Hills got 4.1 on the bond that they backed, and they had an A+ rating. We had an A rating, and they did express some disappointment in that. They said that just the bonding agencies didn't fully understand the growth and the prosperity that's happening in Southern Utah right now, or we should have gotten a better rating than that. And so, yeah, I guess we'll just wait to hear for groundbreaking and all that, but that's looking really good. And then we had our meeting with the school district board yesterday, and we just went over all the different projects that are coming to Santa Clara. They just kind of wanted to know what's going on in Santa Clara, and so they can prepare properly. And they looked over the space in all the elementary schools in the area and felt like they still have sufficient space. We did bring up the lot up by Goobler Park, and they said they get several calls a week asking to sell the property for development. So we would probably be in a list of that if we ever want to do that as well. And then they did talk about the new technical high school that'll be opening, and they expect that to pull students from all the high schools. If I need more information on that, I can explain that. And then they did also say that the Snow Canyon Middle School is the next on the list for a rebuild, like what happened with Dixie Middle. they wouldn't close the school, they'd build on the site, and then I'm not sure exactly how that would happen, but that is the next on the list. And then I just wanted to thank Dustin with your presentation on the different options for the slurry seal and everything. I appreciate all those options and help us make a good decision. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Since none of you guys talked about it, I'll talk about Chicago. We went to, had the opportunity to go tour the Caterpillar manufacturing facilities in Peoria and in Lafayette and in Morton. And very impressive. We got to touch and feel and hold our generator. Is it shipped yet?
It was supposed to be today and
It was
tomorrow.
supposed to be today and tomorrow.
You say we've bonded with that generator, Gary. You got to get it here.
I'll get on Shane tomorrow.
But
Yeah, I haven't heard whether it's shipped or not, but yeah, he said it would be the 20th, I thought is what he said.
next week. Then I get here next week. Okay.
I will say Gary shared today in directors meeting though that some of the switch gear, they actually give them a earlier proposed arrival date. So to get all those components here. So
What is it?
The switch gear, just the cabinet itself is what they was having trouble getting, and I think they've pulled a rabbit out of the hat somehow. And you got it again. They're going to get it earlier, and then they're going to ship it right to Caterpillar, and they will get it all wired up with all the components in it, the controls. And so when they ship it here, it'll be just ready, a lot easier to hook up. So it's still May-ish, towards the end of May, but it's earlier. They projected middle of June. So it's at least a few weeks earlier than they expected.
But the tour was very impressive. Wheeler did a great job with it, I think, and it was impressive seeing the scope of the manufacturing plants. Was extremely impressive back there, and so I appreciated that opportunity. Finally, and check that box. That was one of the unchecked boxes on what are you going to do when you're mayor, and so finally that box is checked. But no, I want to see that generator get here. It's an awesome piece of equipment. Haven't had an MPO meeting or the Mayor's Association meeting got postponed until next month. And so I don't think I had anything else to report. We do have a meeting with the irrigation company immediately following this meeting at 7. And you guys are all invited if you want to sit in with us and listen to the discussion. I imagine they'll let us know what the apportion's going to be this year in the river, how much they're going to be able to meet, and other interesting tidbits that could come up. So just kind of be aware of that. Let's go around staff. Brad, have you got anything pertinent? Chief? I knew you would.
City of Ivans has decided not to redesign the police part of the building over there. So they've moved up our move-in date sometime the middle of May. So next month sometime, we'll be probably moving over there. Just want to let you know about that.
Is
And then-
everything moving, or are you going to leave something here?
Well, we're doing whatever Scott tells us. No, we're leaving. I talked to Scott. We're leaving all the furniture that's tied to the building because it's designed for that workspace and it's really nice stuff. And wouldn't to tear it down and move it just would not work well. And I talked with our new fire chief and about some desks that were over there. So we'll be using some of the furniture that they're not using anymore. And I just said, whatever you're not using, we'll take whatever you're using, keep. We don't want any heartburn over that. And then we're in the process of kind of refurnishing our area, our evidence room, our armory and stuff. So it's going to be a pretty nice facility for us. So looking forward to that.
Will there be any presence here?
Yes. I've talked with Scott about that also, and Brock, and that's our intention. So people come here, they can have a police presence, and we're, absolutely. So we ran a kind of an interesting enforcement project. We received some funds for crosswalks, and in 4.5 hours, We stopped 49 vehicles and wrote 46 citations. But what we did, we met in the morning, we did a briefing about, there's some confusion about crosswalks, how they're marked, which, I mean, it sounds like a little thing, but crossing over here on Santa Clara Boulevard is like a death wish. So we actually briefed that up. We had Reed Briggs as our guy walking in the crosswalk. We didn't do anything borderline. And, he was probably in the middle of the road. Half the time the people just went right by them. We found out there's a lot of education that needs to be done. Frankly, people just didn't see them. So we're going to continue that. Just thought because I know that's been an issue. Our code enforcement is going well. We're seeing a lot of great compliance, not a lot of complaining. Reed's been doing a great job there. And we promoted Jaron Studley to lieutenant. So yeah, he's pretty excited about that. We're going to make a few changes in the department with the promotion, and I'll come back to you in the council. I want to get on the agenda one time to talk about the stats and a few things. Make sure we're doing what you want us to do, kind of talk about our strategies for the future. So we'll come in and introduce our new officer then. He just finished all this training. He's hitting the road and it's looking really well. So it's going well.
Chief, do you have enough vests and safety equipment?
Yeah, we've been fairly lucky with some of our grants on that. But we're going to have to look at sometime in the next couple of years. We've got to figure out what to do with our cameras. The technology is so hard to keep up with, and it's so horribly expensive. Our vests are in good shape, but our cameras, we're trying to figure out a way to move it to the cloud. It's just hard to figure out what to do. They're jumping in price. I don't know. It's just ghastly. Some departments are even considering not doing them anymore. It's just so cost prohibitive. Cities don't want to fund them, but like one camera's $3,000 to $5,000. And they've got them now where the minute you pull a taser out or your weapon out, it automatically goes off, makes notifications and all kinds of things. It's really some wild technology, but right now we're equipped pretty well. Thank you, by the way, for that. So we feel pretty good about where we're at.
I was approached by an individual who asked and I think would be willing to help. So if you do have a need, let me know.
I will absolutely do that. Thank you for that. It'd be nice. So,
questions for Chief? Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Appreciate it. Glad you're here, Chief.
Thank you.
Chris Dale, I know you wanted to say something. Gary? Dustin, anything else? Chief?
Last week, we went to the CIB, 5-county CIB, just going through that process. Probably apply for probably station build and a ladder truck February of next year. So, and then in addition to that, currently we're going to outfit our station with kind of a new technology platform, audible dispatching in the station, TV screens that show the call where they're going, and then in the rigs they'll have screens as well. The captains will have to go en route and communicate with dispatch. So those are some new things for us with using our existing funds. So. Thank you.
Great. Questions for Chief? Thank you, sir. Scotty?
About the only thing is I'd like to thank Bob Flowers, one of his guys, John Ward, myself, and Brock met with some families of the fire over there in Goobler. Came up with kind of an agreement with a certain cost and some community service with these kids that we'll direct. I'll take it up and draw some plans up to have them work within our city doing some cleanup and that, because we didn't want to, they were 12 and didn't want to charge them with a felony. So, but we'll make them pay with work. So, and some money.
You're talking about the bathrooms in Goodwood Park, right? Okay. Cody?
I don't have much, but I just want to tell Bob that the original move-in date was like August or September, but Fred and I have been over there moonlighting, pulling some night shifts to expedite this to hopefully move out of our cubicles. So that's what the building department does, Bob.
Jim? Rocky?
Yeah, just a couple things. On the fiber, we got an email. We're working on a visit with some people from Utopia on Hut. Come down and do a Hut visit again on checking the Hut locations. On the 27th and stuff coming, we'll talk more on the budget. That'll be coming. We'll be setting for a public hearing in May. So specifically on the May 4th work meeting, we'll do a budget discussion. Next week, I'll be out of the office pretty much the entire week. UCMA, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, League of Cities, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So those who are attending League of Cities, if you want to attend, let me know. Got majority of you all registered, but so.
Who are you looking at? Can you just pay with cash at the door? I mean.
I just had it over here, so I'm assuming you're not going, but.
I'm gonna show up. Last year we paid and I missed like all but an hour of it, so I figured I'd just pay it.
They owe you.
I'll get there, yeah.
Yeah, and then on, I'll just think about Jared saying that the school district says they get hit up calls every week. Larry Bergeson gets hit up a couple times a week at the gym that the city would have interest, so we make sure he doesn't forget. So.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Do we need executive session
We do,
to discuss litigation?
yes.
Hey.
And we'll put character and competence of an
An
employee.
individual? Okay, council, I need a motion to go into an executive session to discuss potential litigation and character and competence of an individual.
So the
Second.
Got a motion by Denny, a second by Jarrett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It was unanimous. So Chris, when you're ready.